Oh, all right. Yeah, we getting ourselves together now, family. Oh, it's gonna be a historic show today. A very timely, important show. Oh, I wanna. I want everybody to get yourself together. If you got friends or family, tell them we are now live. We're getting ready to have a very important show with a very important person. So I want everybody to get comfortable. Um, One thing I want to say before we get started also is there was a name change with the YouTube channel. So if you notice, it's called 363 Empire now. So don't get thrown off guard. You may skip the channel or skip the video. No, this is my official channel. It's not a bot channel. This is Brother Rich official channel. I'm gonna have to make that announcement several times so people get used to it. But it's a new channel name, 363 Empire. Want to welcome to the show.
Thank you.
One, the only.
Always happy to be here, Brother Rich.
Man, oh man, wow. Great to have you here today, Sister Myra. I'm gonna let the people load in the room. I want to show you something real quick as we get started.
Okay.
And I want to show you this, Sister Myra, because I got this workshop coming up in what is it, November 1st. And I know me and you just talked very briefly just now about the end of the cycle. And as this cycle ends, a new one begins.
Yes.
And I truly know that it's our time and that we got to take advantage of what's presented with us.
Yes.
So as the industries fall, we always wanted to see imagery of our people in movies and shows and, with a good representation. And now with technology, we could do that to a certain extent, and it's only going to get better and better. Let me show you something, Sister Myra, because I got to talk to you on the phone about a couple of things too that I want you to be a part of. But I'm premiering on Friday on this channel, Sister Myra, at 9 o'clock. I'm premiering an AI movie. It's dealing with Tartaria, the Black Moors, and all of that. Yes. So it's going to be an amazing, our ancient technology. It's going to be an amazing movie. Got a lot of things in the future that I'm planning. But let me show you this, and I want to show the family this real quick as we get started. And as y'all load up in the room, this is about 2 minutes that we go to get the show started. Check this out, Sister Myra. This is dope.
Okay. All right.
Hold up.
Tonight I will perform in a manner never before seen anywhere in the world.
The audience loved it.
This show, this radionics, it's top-notch.
Then we must celebrate.
A real showman invents something new. Something other men will scratch their heads over and whisper, I suppose you have such a show then, one the world has never seen.
I do. And it's one they'll remember me for.
Witness the marvel of the age, the radionics resonator. What happened out there? What in God's name did we witness?
It was the greatest show I've ever seen, which is why he won't keep it. Then we must learn how he does it.
The lights are breathtaking tonight.
A truly memorable evening.
Indeed, a marvel of our time.
The unseen, made flesh before your very eyes.
I need to know how he does it.
He has no trick, it's real.
But at what cost to our principles?
He's obsessed with discovering your methods. He isn't watching your show anymore, he's dissecting it.
So you're working with Jesuits. If you ever speak to my wife again, I'll kill you.
Radionics, ladies and gentlemen. No one can shut me down.
They're destroying everything! Everything!
They can burn the stones, but they cannot burn the memory.
Look at Her Majesty, my dear. She stands for all of us.
Remember our stories.
Sister Myra, first I want to thank you and the other elders for teaching us our power and who we really are. And
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to assume our rightful position on earth at this time. And yeah, we're gonna take these industries back, Sister Myra. But that's a commercial. We got a movie coming out, so I'm gonna talk to you more about it. What you thought? What you thought about it?
Oh my goodness! You know what it reminds me of is there's a website where they're dealing with like and ancient structures, ancient, and they're talking about how these buildings and all didn't just pop up, in the 1800s, 1700s, and they've been around here for I don't know how many years. And each city, each state has its own history with these buildings, and that's what it reminded me of because it looked like we were going back, way back in antiquity, where that's how that's how it looked back then. The buildings, the structure, the community. So that's what it took me back to immediately.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing when you're able to utilize the information that the elders taught us, and you're able to do alchemy with it.
Yes,
essentially, and not because it's so easy to get down at this time when you see what's going on in the world and everything, Sister Myra. But the opportunities that's in front of us are endless.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, let's start this show, Sister Myra. The world, we almost got 1,000 people in the chat. So let's get this thing going, Sister Myra. You see everything going on in the news.
Yes.
With Trump and the Kirk dude, and the government just shut down today, and aliens and all types of stuff going on in the news. A lot of people want to know how should they move. A lot of people are like, wow, if this year had all this, I wonder what 2026 is going to entail.
Right.
So a lot of people want to know how should they move in 2026. But being an astrologer, being somebody who's tapped into the spirit world, what do you take of everything that you see going on in the news right now, Sister Myra?
Well, I'm an energy person.
Yes.
I look at energy, and that gives me the bigger picture. And we talked about 2025, and when you add up 2025, we got the 9. 9 is for completing a level, and then simultaneously starting a new level at a higher vibration. So this is what I've been getting from my study in energy, is that this all is going to come to a head through the Taurus and Scorpio axis of energy. I don't believe in the 12 individual signs anymore. I just believe in the 6 axis, putting the opposites together. I don't talk about one without its opposite, one sign without its opposite. So when we're looking at Taurus and Scorpio, the axis, you got Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sagittarius, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, and Virgo, Pisces. Those are the 6 axes of energy. And so putting those 2 halves together makes a whole, or holistic. This is universal purpose being fulfilled. Okay? It's a bigger universal purpose being fulfilled, and we're just the individual aspects of that. But we have to become holistic in order to participate with this. And that means balancing with your own spiritual half. And your spiritual half is going to be your opposite energy. Like you, Virgo, that means your spiritual energy is going to be Pisces, you see. And as you two come together, 2 halves, that's how you complete that spiral. And this is what this is all about, completing spirals to elevate to a new level. Start a new spiral at a higher vibration, elevate to a new level, and start these spirals. So we completed a major spiral with this 9, completing. And then this is going to bring us to, like I said, 2026. You add up 2026, what do you get? You get 10. So now we're dealing with the 1 and the 0. The 1 is going to indicate a new beginning, okay? And the 0 is going to indicate a new beginning in a spiritual cycle. So we've elevated, completed a level, and now we're elevating or evolving. That's why this happens in the Aquarius age, because it's the energy of evolution, and it's time for our evolution. And the opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo, creative powers, creative rulership. So the evolution of a new creative rulership out of an abuse of power to a humanitarian empowerment, because Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian. So a new beginning in a new cycle. The zero is spiritual. So a new beginning in a new spiritual cycle where we're evolving from an abuse of corrupted power to a spiritual, righteous, humanitarian empowerment. And so that is what the 10, when we add up 2026 after completing this level, we've done the physical half. Energy only goes 180 degrees before it has to be balanced with the opposite 180 degrees. That's how you complete a full 360-degree spiral. Open up a vortex for access to the next level energy vibration. We're dealing with a multitude of levels. It has nothing to do with time. It has to do with levels, ascending. But this is a major level being completed. This is why it happens in the Aquarian age, because now we've balanced on enough levels for our evolution to a new level. And with Aquarius, the evolution of a new spiritual creative empowerment, from an abuse to a humanitarian. But we got to come to our knowing as to who we are. And this is where Leo plays a role, because Leo, the planetary ruler of Leo, is the sun, and the sun is always exposure, focus. So everything is now being exposed for this evolution to a new level and a new empowerment, a righteous empowerment out of this corrupted abuse of power. So dealing with these multitude of levels. And this one here was a major one, where it's now time not just to ascend, but it's now time to for an evolution. Aquarius energy, a new evolution. And in order to evolve Aquarius as new age rulers, Leo, there has to be a transformation, Scorpio, of our values and habits, Taurus. That I just described the fixed cross. This is the cross they talked about. Even in the Bible, Ezekiel chapter 1, they talk about his cherubim with these four faces, the lion, the man, which is Leo and Aquarius, and then the ox or the bull, Taurus, and then we're talking about the eagle, which was Scorpio, which is liberation. And so it's time to evolve out of an corrupted abuse of power to a humanitarian empowerment. And in order to do that, there has to be a transformation in our values and habits. We can't take old values and habits from a mundane level up to a royal level. See, so that is what that Taurus and Scorpio is all about. When we hit Scorpio, and this is the last cycle, you guys, we're in the last cycle, so we're going to see everything enhanced in this cycle. So Taurus, 6 months ago or 5 months ago, and we're in Libra now. We just started Libra, which is the first sign in the spiritual half. First 6 signs are physical. Second 6 signs are spiritual. Neither one's no higher or lower than the other. Balance is the key to everything in the universe. The vessel needs the spirit just as much as the spirit needs the vessel. So it's balance between those two halves. What we've done is we've completed the physical half. We've done the 180-degree physical half. The first 6 signs, like I said, from Aries to Taurus to Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Those are the physical, okay? Then the last sign in the physical half is Virgo. Virgo is the sign of cleansing, purification, purging of false values. Anytime you're dealing with earth element, you're dealing with values. So cleansing, purging, and purifying of false values to heal in our wisdom and now be able to ascend above the horizon line into the spiritual half. And the first sign in the spiritual half is Libra. You see, so once you've been cleansed, we've been cleansed, and I'm talking on a collective level. I'm not talking on a personal, individual level. So once we have now been cleansed, purged, purified, healed, and unplugged from the matrix in Virgo, now it's time for us to ascend. I call Virgo the Christ child, because you ascend from the physical into the spiritual half. You know, after being cleansed, purged, purified, and healed in your wisdom, unplugging from the matrix, now ascending into the spiritual half through Libra. Now you can get into an equal and balanced partnership. Libra is the sign of partnership with your own spirit, because the air element, that's spiritual. And so a partnership and balance with your own spirit, where you come to your individual wholeness or your individual life. So we're starting the spiritual half as we've completed the physical half. And in the reason, and see, so once you've been cleansed, purged, purified in Virgo, and ascend into the spiritual half through Libra, now able to get into that balance with your own spirit. The next energy is Scorpio. And Scorpio is a sign of bonding. So now it's time to bond. And because it's water, you know, this Libra is also where the twin souls come together. Right? Your twin soul is an energy being. When you were an energy being, you were biuna as an energy being. Your twin soul. And when you fell into the flesh, you separated into duality, male and female. You've had many lifetimes cultivating a love relationship with this person. The one bond that is never broken, you know, is that love bond. You know, that's mama's energy. Mama of antiquity. So bringing your love from antiquity to new age. Okay, it's never broken. Through many lifetimes, through many different bodies, you still keep that love bond with that twin soul. But you have to cultivate this love first on an unequal basis. There's some lifetimes you came together as mother and son. There's some lifetimes you came together as father and daughter, but this is the lifetime to come together as brother, sister, which is the mate level, where the balance, the yin yang, where the two halves have come together. And whenever you get the balance of the two halves, that's the point. That's where we evolve. That's what opens up a vortex for the evolution to the next level. So that's who your twin soul is, who you cultivated a love bond with through many lifetimes. And now this is the lifetime to come together in balance and complete that full spiral and evolve to a new level. So the love bond, the water. So as we now come into balance with our spirit and come to our individual wholeness, your mate comes into balance with their spirit and come to their individual wholeness through Libra. Now, only then do we come together as twin souls, when each are both, you know, in balance with their spirit, each holistic. Once the twin souls bond, once the twin souls come into balance with one another through Libra, then it takes us to the next energy of Scorpio. And Scorpio is the sign of bonding, water. So bonding in our love, that's mama's energy, the water. So we're now ready to bond in our love as twin souls. And the intensity, you know, Scorpio is a very intense, very extreme sign. So the intensity and extremity of this bonding as twin souls is what activates the transformation. Scorpio is the energy of transformation. That means the death of the old and a rebirth of the new. Level. So completed collectively is the physical half, you see. Now it's time, you know, to end that half and start this new spiritual half, you see, open up to this new spiritual half. And that intensity is what activates the transformation, which the Mayans call the great crossover. They call it the celestial ship of the north, the great crossover, where you cross over to Sagittarius, the great creative place, where you come to the abundance of your collective power. Sagittarius is the last fire sign, the ultimate sun of power. And the planetary ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. Jupiter is the great beneficent. Whatever Jupiter touches, it brings in abundance, it enlarges. So coming to the abundance of our collective powers, you see, a SARS energy. We're looking at Sagittarius and where he was cut into the 14 pieces. And the 14th piece was his penis. The power of collective resurrection to our abundance of power and open up to our blessings, you see. That's what we do through Sagittarius. This cycle we're in and enhancing right now. So now it's time for us to see the end of this reality, you see. But it's the corrupted half. You see, the powers that have been, energy can only go 180 degrees. And the power that have been have reached their maximum of their 180 degrees of abuse of corrupted power. So that automatically will activate the opposite spiritual half, where we're evolving now into a righteous humanitarian empowerment, Aquarius and Leo, out of this corrupted abuse of power. So the job for, so we're seeing the end results. We're seeing the death, Scorpio, the death of the old, okay? Don't let it psych you out. Don't even, that is the job of the corrupted abuse of power, the powers that have been. Job is to keep us focused, external and down.
Right. Yeah.
And they do that by bombarding us with, everything bad they can throw at you. Everything but the kitchen sink. I'm like I said, I'm 73 years old, so I remember the days when we had chaos and catastrophes every just great now and then. It was a big thing. Now we get daily, all these things to keep us in doubts, fears, and guilt. Will lower our vibration. We are getting divine intervention from our true parents, righteous Father, Spirit, and Mama Universe. However, you have to be vibrating at a high level in order to participate with that divine intervention. So their job is to keep us in doubts, fears, and guilt, lower our vibration so we become vulnerable to the attack of the matrix, you see, keeping us lowering our vibration, keeping us vulnerable to attack. We're the ones energizing the illusion as we buy in doubt, fears, and we're energizing the illusion. I always use the analogy of the big bad wolf and the three little pigs. The system, the father of illusion, is the system of illusion, the Ma of tricks, the matrix, and the Ma of terror, materialism. That's whose auspices we've been under as our parents, you see. And so they will keep us in doubts, fears, and guilt, looking external, so that we energize the illusion and, keep that illusion going. We want the fall of the illusion. So this is where they keep us in doubts, fears, and guilt. It's like the big bad wolf and the three little pigs. The big bad wolf, they have to intimidate you into believing they have power over you, but their power is not real, you see. Your power is internal. It's not external. So they have to intimidate you into believing that, so you contribute to it through your doubts, your fears, and your guilt. What we just went through in the last 4 or 5 years, you see. Your doubts, your fears, and the guilt, lowering your vibration. So now we are getting divine intervention and we're pulling our energy away from the illusion. And it's going holes in the illusion. And it no longer has the power to sustain itself. This is what we're seeing now. Humpty Dumpty is falling off the wall. And the reason they depict Humpty Dumpty as an egg is because it has a fragile position of power. It's not, it's based on illusion, you see. And so that is how what we're seeing in the world, how it's falling. When I first started my lecture cycle, circuit. I was in Atlanta, and one of the first places that brought me to do a presentation was Houston, Texas. So when I went to Houston, Texas, I did this presentation called Apocalypse Now. How do we contribute? Okay. And when I did that presentation, I said, I told the people, I said, we want the fall of the illusion. We want the fall of this matrix, you see. And I told them, I said, I don't care what chaos is raging right outside your window. You don't blink. You don't even flinch. Your lack of fear is your lamb's blood, and the chaos will pass you over. There's no fixing this. There's no propping it up. There's no making it work. It has to fall. And you have to show you have no stake in propping up this illusionary matrix. So no fears, you see, and that's how the chaos will pass you over. And I told him, I said, get you a bag of popcorn, take your seat, cross your legs, sit back and watch the show. That's what we should be doing right now, just watching the show. None of this is meant for us. This is not meant, for those of us, who are on and opening up to our spiritual path and our spiritual guidance, you see. Right now, nobody has more power than you do to create your own reality. But because of the Aquarian age, you have to know that. You see? You have to know that. And now it's not enough just to know. You have to be able to walk in that knowing. It's a difference in knowing and walking in the knowing. Okay? So now it's time to walk in the knowing. That is what this 2026 is going to open up for us, because the Scorpio is going to bring us the end of this old. And now it's time to transition and open up to a new beginning where we're now taking control and energizing the reality we want to see open up, in this new spiritual rulership that is now blossoming in the Aquarian age. So now is the time to come to the knowing. That's why everything is being exposed. That's what's happening. We're seeing the exposure of the corrupted, polluted abuse of power. Nothing's being hidden. It's all being exposed. I've told this story, and I don't know, some of you may have heard this already, because I do repeat myself a lot because the stuff is layered. It's all layered. We're dealing with many, many levels, and it's not until we get to a certain phase that it really registers, the things that I've been building on, that's now coming to a culmination and a fulfillment. So now I told the story of when I lived in Atlanta many, many moons ago, and how my brother, I had this dream. I had this vision dream. I always call it a vision dream when it's clarity, when you see the full details, and it's clarity, and you remember the clarity of those details. So I had this vision dream that my brother brought me his dog to watch, and it was a great big Saint Bernard, and so he wanted to go run some errands, so he wanted me to watch his dog. So I brought the dog in, and the dog was so big, it started trampling over all my stuff. It went into the kitchen and knocked things off my cabinet, turned over my trash can. I mean, it was just making a big mess in my kitchen. So at one point, the dog jumped up on my kitchen table. And I said, "Oh no, now you've gone too far. Get up off my kitchen table." So the dog started speaking to me, and the dog said, "Okay, but would you please feed me? Give me something to eat." So I said, "Okay." So I fed the dog. After I fed the dog, I went and looked out the window. And when I looked out the window, I noticed that there was no blue in the sky. The sky was crystal clear, no blue. Okay. And as I'm looking out the window, and so finally I said, "What is going on here?" So I go outside and I start wandering the neighborhood. And as I'm wandering the neighborhood, people are running up to me saying, look what I can do. I can do this. Watch me do that, you see. So when I woke up, And I'm asking Spirit to help me understand, the meaning. It says blue is the color of deception.
Ooh.
The sky looks blue, it's not really blue. The ocean looks blue, it's not really blue. So with no blue in the sky, that means deception had been removed from the earth. Okay?
Yeah.
And that is why we were opening up to our gifts and our powers. That is why the dog, I can speak with the dog. That is why people were opening up to those powers and gifts. That vision I had in Atlanta is what we're now looking at today. How everything is being exposed in the corrupted abuse of power that have reached their 180-degree maximum. And now it's time for, as the Virgo, we just left Virgo, where we're now cleansing, purging, purifying of false values to this matrix, to this illusionary system, in order to heal in our wisdom and step up. What we're doing now is just watching the exposure of what's falling, and that is Scorpio. And they're saying everything is coming to a head through the Taurus and Scorpio axis of energy. And the next energy is Scorpio. So we're seeing the death of the old that has been exposed, that's been hidden, as you showed the video up front. And I told you, it reminded me of when they showed these ancient reality, and how we live, the buildings, the structures, the people, so now that's who we were. And like you said, the what is that?
Tartaria?
There you go. You read my mind, Brother Rich. Yes, the Tartarian. We're going to go back to that type of reality, you see. So that is why everything is being exposed, that it kept that hidden and covered up. That has been our antiquity. That's the subconscious. We've been in the conscious reality. Everything nature oracle, the subconscious, mama's domain, the mama of antiquity, and Black Mama universe, you see. While our ancestors came out as the original rulers with powers. This is who they patterned the superheroes after, our ancestors. Our ancestors could fly. They could breathe underwater. They could talk telepathically with the plants, the animals, the universe, each other. We still have those powers. However, they're subconscious. What's been hidden? It's been hidden in antiquity. It's been hidden internally. And now with the Leo, as part of the Aquarius axis of energy, the sun. The sun means exposure. Wherever the sun is at, it's bringing exposure. So everything that's been hidden in the conscious realm is now ready to be exposed from the subconscious, our Akashic records, our ancient memory. We're talking Pisces energy, the last water sign, Big Mama. So everything is being exposed about who we are as the original righteous rulers of antiquity. So we can now step up in our knowing and step up in our creative powers. We're, the vessels of creative empowerment. So we can now step up to that power. You got to know your power before you can activate it. That's the Aquarius and Leo axis of energy. Aquarius, I know. Leo, creative rulership or creative empowerment. Wherever you're creative at is where it's going to blossom. As the material kingdom falls, and that's what we're seeing, the material kingdom falling as we now are stepping up to a creative empowerment. Wherever you're creative at. And how we're going to do that, first we have to come to that knowing. That's why everything's being exposed. That's why you're seeing the fall of the illusion. You're seeing the fall of the matrix. We're coming into a spiritual reality where we're now opening up to the subconscious, mama's domain, antiquity, our ancestors, ancient ancestors, and how they were empowered to the right values and the ancient values. So we're stepping up to that, but we got to come to the knowing of that so we can step up and start activating that power. And it's all going to be based on righteous. Nobody has more power than you do to create your own reality. But you got to know that. And all I do is study energy and how it unfolds. So there's laws and formulas and rules for energy.
Right,
so
right.
the main law and rule for you to be able to create your own reality is it has to be in the vein of righteousness.
Hey, Sister Myra, what spiritual practice do you think Mama's domain or the subconscious mind likes the most? Because this is that age of the subconscious mind. What do you think is most effective with tapping into Mama's domain, Sister Myra?
She's water, she's love. Okay?
Water.
And her balance is with the daughter, the earth, which is character. So it's all the love of character with love. In other words, balancing those two halves. So character and love, that is going to be what she's going to be energizing. Anytime you're dealing in love, remember, we're talking Mama Universe. This whole thing is a family endeavor.
Yeah, you always say that, yeah.
All of it's family, you see. Your individual physical family on the physical half, which I call the step family. This is all about Cinderella, because daughter Earth at the planetary level is the Cinderella energy. That's who the story of Cinderella is about, daughter Earth at the planetary level, okay? And the rejected stone, who becomes the cornerstone. It's in her rejection and redemption, the earth is transformed, daughter earth, which represents Capricorn energy, daughter character. And Capricorn is the sign of rejection. So the rejected stone, who becomes the cornerstone. It's in her rejection and redemption, the earth is transformed. We have the Prince with Aries, the cardinal fire. We have the Queen with Cancer, the cardinal water. We have the King with Libra, the cardinal air. The only one who hadn't reached her sacred status was daughter Earth, character, the energy of integrity and character. And the reason she was denied her value is because she is the energy of integrity and character, because her planetary ruler is Saturn, the Lord of karma. So other signs could run up that mountain where Capricorn had to climb up surefoot and steady because, and she's the mountain goat, but because the minute she abused her character, her planetary ruler Saturn would immediately chastise her. Okay?
You said Earth's planetary ruler is Saturn?
Capricorn, who represents daughter Earth. That's her energy, Capricorn.
Yeah.
And the planetary ruler of Capricorn is Saturn.
Right.
Okay? And so he's the Lord of karma. He's the one who challenges all of us, restricts us and limits us, only to see how we're going to overcome those restrictions and limitations by staying true to our character. That is the father's role, the air element. Even though he's planetary level, that's what we're missing here, people. We're dealing with a multitude of levels.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a different face at a different level in that same line of energy, you see. And right now I'm talking planetary level. That's where we cross over from that 180 degrees of corrupted power at a global level. The global level is where we reach the 180 degree maximum of corrupted power on the physical half. Okay. And once we cross over the global level, this is where the powers that have reached their maximum of their global abuse of power. And now it can only go 180 degrees. So they've reached their maximum of their 180 degrees abuse of power. And then as we go into the spiritual half, the first energy, the first level in the spiritual half is the planetary level. Okay? And that's where we're dealing with the earth, the moon, and the planets in the universe. From the planetary level, we're going to go to a universal level. From a universal level, we'll go to a star system level. And that's the full range.
Yeah.
Individual personal,
Yeah.
all the way up to a star system level. So we just entered the planetary level of vibration of this operation, the first energy and the spiritual half. And that Libra represents that very well, because that's where everything and now will come into balance, you see. And so as we go to the planetary level, representing daughter Earth, who's been rejected in her value, because we've been in the land of illusion, the conscious reality. Okay, and now it's time for us to go back into the subconscious, the spiritual, the antiquity, mama's domain. She's the ancient of ancients, the ancient ancestors, back to the original empowerment that we had with the ancestors. So that's the planetary level where we start that cycle. And that is where daughter Earth, playing the role of Cinderella, who has been rejected because she's the energy of character, okay? And her opposite sign is Cancer, which is mama, the water. And if you're looking at the ancient Cancer, Cancer is the sign of ancestors, the past. That's why the crab, it holds on to the past. Mm-hmm. And so Cancer, mama, go back to the most ancient mama, it's Kali Ma. Cancer energy, Kali Ma, ferocious and vicious mama who's trying to protect her family of character, you see. So bringing us back and redeeming character. The rejected stone, it becomes the cornerstone. It's in her rejection and redemption that the earth is transformed, redeeming and lifting up character as daughter Earth. Cinderella, from the bottom to the top, the servant girl who marries the prince and becomes the queen. That's what Cinderella means. That's daughter Earth's story, being rejected in her value because she's the energy of character. We've been in the land of illusion, and character is not respected in the land of illusion. So that is what the Cinderella story is really indicating. So from redeeming character at the planetary level. And once we redeem character, we go to the universal level, which is mama's domain, the earth and the water, love, and character.
Sister Myra, and I'm glad you keep mentioning character. When you use words like character, integrity, or righteousness, let's just say those three words.
Yes.
Is this something that you have to be born with, or is this something you could be taught? Like maybe you may not have it the first 20 years of your life, but you learn it the latter part of your life, or is this just something that you got to come into this world with? Either you got it or you don't.
No, you don't come in. Scorpio, that is this next energy, okay? And Scorpio, like I said, the energy of transformation. And the planetary ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. You see, the farthest planet out there. And Pluto is the energy of regeneration. When you look in your chart, in your astrological chart, at your Scorpio or your Pluto energy, that's where you do your lifelong change, your transformation.
Okay.
The death of the old, what you came in here and was programmed in false values, as your reality, you see. But then as you start ascending, as you start growing, as you start stepping up to your spiritual reality or your spiritual knowledge, or get on your spiritual path, you see, that's where you start flipping the script. That's where you start doing the transformation. Everything is about the balance of opposites. And we had to go, every energy only unfolds through a negative and positive polarity. So we have been on a journey. We've been on our soul's journey, as energy beings. When we were energy beings, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, not the other way around. So when we were energy beings and the universe was passing out missions and purposes, we decided what mission and what purpose we wanted to to contribute to this larger universal purpose being fulfilled. And you said, I'll take that mission. But when you fell into the flesh, you forgot your mission and your purpose. But your spirit didn't forget. And what your spirit is going to do is going to pave the path for you to walk the path in order to be confronted with your challenges, to fulfill that spiritual purpose and destiny, so you can see your capability to overcome those challenges. You see. And that is with your growth. As you line, that's how you get your growth. And as you line back up with your spirit, that's how you come back to who you are holistically. Two halves make a whole. And so your spiritual half now in balance with your physical half. So that is where your spirit paves that way for you to be confronted with the challenges, which is going to pertain to what spiritual purpose and destiny you chose on your soul's journey. You see, we all have to hit that brick wall because it only unfolds to a negative, and the negative polarity is the physical polarity. That's, again, going back to the Cinderella story, the step family. That's the one who will wound you. And those wounds are passed down generationally, especially to the sacrificial lamb of the family who carries the brunt of the wounding. And once those wounds are passed down generationally through the family, this whole thing is family from one end to the opposite end. And as those wounds are generationally passed down, this is the generation where we're going to see the sacrificial lamb who took the brunt of that wounding. The same way you were wounded, the same way your parents were wounded, where they were wounded, they passed that generationally down to you. And this is now where all that is being exposed. And that generational wounding. Anytime we get into the Aquarius age, because Aquarius is the sign of evolution, the buck stops here. We're not going to be able to pass that wound to the next generation. Now, we can't pass that wound to the next generation. That's where Virgo comes in and begins to expose where everything has become corrupted in that abuse of power, so it can be cleansed, purged, purified for our healing in order to ascend or step up to the next level. You see, so that is where it's all being exposed for cleansing, purification, and healing, so we can then ascend to the next level, or into the spiritual half of this operation. So exposing the pollution. So that's what we're seeing when we look into the world today. The government being shut down, all the things that are happening is all where they've reached their maximum of their corrupted abuse of power. And now we're seeing the fall of this matrix, we're seeing the fall of the illusion, and that's being exposed to us, so we can step up in our transformation, where we've learned from the lessons of the challenges that our spirit confronted us with in order to get past those challenges and fulfill our spiritual purpose and destiny. That is how we can then ascend into the spiritual half, now get into an equal and balanced partnership with our spirit, come to our individual wholeness, our individual Christhood. And then that is where we activate the next energy, Scorpio, which we're facing right now. This reality only has about 30 days left. They're not even that much, because when we go from Libra into Scorpio, Scorpio is where we're going to start to see everything come to a head. The death of the old, the death of a corrupted abuse of power. That is where we're going to see the death of that. That's what we're seeing, when we look into the world, look outside our window and see the chaos. That is what we're seeing, the death of the old as it's falling. We've already hopped the fence, and I say hop the fence because we can't straddle the fence. We don't blend energy. So you have to complete one half before you hop the fence to the opposite half, the opposite 180 degrees, spiritual empowerment, righteous empowerment. So now we've hopped the fence. It's just a matter of that energy is now starting to unfold. It's not yet become perceivable. The only way it's become perceivable that we've hopped the fence to that opposite half, to the subconscious half. We've been in the conscious half. That is where, It's the subconscious versus the conscious. Your subconscious, when you go to sleep at night, your spirit is going to do that astral traveling and take you back to your energy family. You have two families. You have the physical family who wounds you, you know, the step family. Then you have the spiritual energy cosmic family, the ancient family that will heal you, that will balance out the wounding with the healing half. Completing that cycle. Anytime you complete that cycle, you're opening up a vortex for access to the next level. So as we've been wounded, we've completed that half. We've been the vessels of sacrifice and struggle. Not just this lifetime, but through a many, many lifetimes. And now those sacrifices and struggles are being tallied up as our investment, as what's now going to pay off in opposite spiritual return in reward and empowerment. So we've completed that half. And now it's time for the spiritual half to balance that out. Our energy, our ancient energy, cosmic family will be the one through a connection with our spirit, you know, to balance out the wounding with the healing. Everything is about opposites, you guys. That's how energy operates. So now that we've completed the wounding half at 180 degrees, it's time to activate the healing half. That's our cosmic family. When you go to sleep in your astral traveling, you go back to that family in the subconscious realm. And the deeper you go into that subconscious realm, the harder it is to bring that information back to the conscious realm. Okay? We're dealing with three levels. We're dealing with the soul realm, cosmic realm, mama's domain. That's the subconscious. That's our ancient ancestors, okay, who had those powers and that magic. And then when we wake up from the subconscious into the conscious realm, that is father's domain, the air element, the conscious realm, the spiritual realm. Where we had ancient ancestors in the cosmic realm, now we're going to be dealing with spiritual ancestors. Your spiritual ancestors are the ones you're conscious of that made their transition in this lifetime. They are the ones that go on your spirit team as your spirit entourage, you know, guiding the energy, accessing the energy from the ancient ancestors or the subconscious. We can't connect from the physical to the subconscious, to the cosmic. So the middle ground is the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm where you have your spiritual ancestors that you're conscious of that have made their transition. They go on that spiritual team. They bring the energy from the subconscious or the cosmic realm and through the spiritual realm, and the spirit is opposite the physical. So now the spiritual realm, your spiritual ancestors can now balance with their physical vessel of the family or their boot on the ground, especially the sacrificial lamb of the family who carries the brunt of the wounding and now can get the brunt of the healing and bring back the brunt of the reward. You see, balance is the key to everything. So that is where our spiritual ancestors will then channel that energy to us as the physical vessels or the boots on the ground who can now manifest that energy vibration at ground level. And it's going to be the creative power. So all we got to do now is step up as the physical vessels and say, okay, tonight I want to create the finest music that's ever been created. Which one of my ancestors have mastered in that creative power? Channel that vibration. So I can now manifest that creative power at ground level, you see. So that is what we're now stepping up to as the new rulers. We can manifest from the cosmic realm, our ancient ancestors, through the spiritual realm, and they can then send that vibration to us to manifest it at the physical level. That is how we're harmonizing between the three realms, you see. So that is, remember, okay, now I'm always talking about this, you guys know, remember when, was it a couple of Augusts ago, on August the 5th, you know, was it, I think it was Alabama.
Oh, the cheer fight?
Yes, yes, yes.
Montgomery,
Alabama. Yeah. That is a micro demonstration of what we're now stepping into from a macro level. That was a preview
Right.
of what we're stepping into. You know, that those physical vessels were the spiritual ancestors came down through those physical vessels in this spiritual warfare.
You seen that dude swimming in the video? That dude started swimming. I was like, yo, that dude was possessed, Myra. I was like, wow.
The part that got me the most was where you saw the what was that, the boot, the boot where the foot had busted through.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Yep. I know what you're talking about. Wow. Yeah, I ain't seen that video.
Is a demonstration of how we're now going to be able to connect with our spiritual ancestors. We're the vessels for the spirits of our ancestors.
Right.
And now they can come through and manifest themselves, you see, through us as that vessel, you know, opening up that vibration from the spiritual realm, you know, which have accessed the vibration from the cosmic realm, the ancient ancestors, you see. So, yeah, that is what we've gotten, a micro preview of how we're now stepping up in this new empowerment of reality. You see.
Sister Myra, how can we be, if we at nighttime, you talked about our spirit astral projecting to meet our spiritual family, how can we be more intentional when we sleep? Sleep is probably the most neglected part. People just fall asleep. They might fall asleep watching TV. They might fall asleep after an argument. How can we be super intentional while falling asleep so that we could get instructions or do what we got to do on the other side and bring it back here the next morning when we wake up?
Right. What I can tell you is that whenever there's something you need to bring back or be intentional about, that you pick up in the subconscious when you're dreaming, whatever is significant or of a value to your purpose, that is where you get those vision dreams I was talking about, where you get the full clarity. And see, we're trying to take too much responsibility because it's we're the bottom rung. At the physical level, we're at the bottom level of this whole operation.
Right.
Your spirit is, you know, it's taking you through many levels of this energy. So it's a bigger operation. And by the time it's time to manifest, and when you need to do your part in manifesting this energy, that is when your spirit is going to pull your coattail and open up that information where there is no lack of clarity. There's no doubt about what is signaling you. It's going to be the one to pull your coattail. Right now, we have to get in partnership with our spirit. Not just lip service. It has to be an equal partnership, that balance of those two halves, because we've completed the physical half. Now we need our spiritual half to guide us into this spiritual half of this reality that's now blossoming. So we're totally dependent on our spirit. How you can be more participant in it, because this has already been done. This has already happened in the spiritual realm. It's just now time to manifest that energy. So it's already been done. This has already been preordained.
Right.
And your own spirit is going to, you know, be the one to pull your coattail as to when you need to step up and make your contribution. You're not by yourself. You're not trying to figure this out on your own. You have a spiritual partner. And right now it's time for you to let that spiritual partner take the lead, because we have hopped into the spiritual half. So now we need our spiritual partner, you know, to guide us there. It's the one that has connection to that spiritual entourage, your family, spiritual energy. So your spirit is going to be the one that will clue you in as to when it's time to make your move. You know, but I always say it's like the twinkling of a star, and you're only responsible for one twinkle of the star, not the full twinkling. But the one twinkle is just as important as the full twinkling. Because if you're not in position to make your contribution when it's your time to shine, the star is not complete, it's not whole, and if it's not whole, it's not real. So this is a bigger universal purpose being fulfilled. We're just the last piece of this, you know, process in the manifestation of it. So it's going to come down through to you, through your spirit, through those vision dreams, or, and the only thing you really need to do is, like we said, be on the path of righteousness, be on the path of character. Those are the 4 elements. Earth is character. Air is righteous thinking. Water is the love. And the fire is the passion to defend righteousness. Those are the 4 highest qualities of vibration. That's the royal family, the 4 members of the royal family. The air element is the father, righteous thinking. The fire element is the sun, creative powers. The water element is the mama, the love, the soul realm, the magic, the antiquity, that's all mama's domain. And then the earth is the character. So those are the highest. So the higher you can take your vibration to those 4 qualities of that full royal family is spirit is spiral, remember? Mm-hmm. And spirit moves inside out. That's where you go to that subconscious realm, internal, not external. So spirit moves inside out, not outside in. We're energy transmitters as well as receivers, but it's what we send out as to what we spiral back. And if we're sending it out at 20%, we're going to spiral it back at 20%. If we're sending it out at 80%, we're going to spiral it back 80%. So when you're walking those 4 characteristics, character, righteous thinking, passion to defend righteousness, and love, your vibration is elevating to those high levels. And as high as you take that energy is as high as you're going to receive it back in full spiral. Spirit is spiral. So what you send out is what you're going to spiral back. And as high as you can spiral, the highest you can tap into that vibration. You see.
Sister Myra, you mentioned a lot about we have a spiritual partner, and I think that's very important. My question I want to ask to you at this time is, do you think, I have my son is he's 6. My son's actually going to turn 7 tomorrow, Sister Myra.
Wow.
He's a Libra. He's actually turning 7 tomorrow.
Okay.
But sometimes he talks to himself and he has like, an imaginary friend or something like that. And I'm like, who are you talking to? He's like, I'm talking to myself. I want to ask you, and that's something that we abandon as we get older. When it comes to our spiritual partner, should we talk to our spiritual partner like our child talks to their imaginary friend? Because they call us crazy as an adult. But is that to disconnect us from our spiritual partner?
Yes, absolutely. There was, way back, when we started, when they wanted to squash the spiritual reality, they set out, like an edit, where any child that demonstrated those type of gifts, they were to squash those gifts, you see. They were to, eliminate those gifts. What happened is we went into, when we went into religion, you see. Religion, we went into religion in the Piscean age. And Pisces is the sign of I believe, okay? So what they did is they took and put a blockage between us moving our spirit out from our subconscious. We're now moving our spirit out from emotional doubts, fears, and guilts. So that is what they did with religion. So anybody who can define what you believe defines what you create. You see.
Right, exactly.
In order to be creative, you have to follow your spirit from one end to the opposite end. You have to be limber enough to follow your spirit from one end to the opposite end. And religion doesn't allow you that flexibility. That is where you open up to your creativity. If you get into one position, this is who I am, this is who I'm not, this is what I do, this is what I don't do. That's your stagnation as a result of your wounding in the physical half of the operation. You're stagnated in your wounding when you in one position. One is always physical. Okay, you have to be limber enough, because we're going to go through a multitude of levels. You have to be limber enough to follow your spirit. Your spirit can say, dig a ditch 10 feet deep. And as soon as you finish digging that ditch 10 feet deep, then your spirit's going to say, now build a tower 10 feet high. Your spirit is always going to work in the balance of opposites to create the whole. That's the formula of creation. Two halves make a whole. Okay, 180 degrees on each half completes a 360-degree spiral, which opens up that vortex to the next level. So anything that stagnates you following your spirit is what's stagnating your spiritual growth or your creative powers. You have to flow with that creative power, and religion doesn't give you that flexibility. It's done through dogma, you see, that then restricts and limits you in certain criterias where you don't know where your spirit might come from when it's trying to move you on your path. You can't figure your spirit out. It's not going to give you any clues as to how it's taking you, how it's guiding you through symbolism. The only time it's going to give you a clue as to why it's taking you in this direction is when it's ready to fulfill and complete the purpose. Spirit don't work in fractions. Not going to prove what it's doing until it's ready to fulfill what it's doing. That balance of the physical half with the spiritual half is when you complete that spiral and open up that vortex. That is when first time you get a clue of, that V8 moment as to, that's why my spirit. I always like to tell the story of, and like I said, I probably repeat myself a lot, so I'm sure, but I'm putting it in a new context. So, but I always like to tell the story of, I say, suppose you had an appointment downtown and you had to catch the bus to that appointment. And, but everything was an obstacle to you getting out to the bus stop. Your alarm clock went off late. Then you couldn't find your shoe. When you find your shoe, you can't find your key. Then you find your key and you get to the door and you can't open the door. It's damn, you struggle, get out the door, and you finally get out the door. You get to the bus stop and just miss your bus. And then you say, oh, doggone it, now I can't make my appointment. You see, why these things happen to me? You go on about your business, you come home later that evening, turn on the news and find out that the bus you was trying to catch has been in a serious accident. Some people got killed, some people got injured. That is when you'll have the V8 moment. Oh, that's why my spirit prevented me from getting on that bus. You see, it was your spirit that did the alarm clock, that lost your shoes and your keys, because it was trying to keep you from getting on the bus. But you don't realize that. You still got a conscious focus, what I'm trying to do consciously. You're not understanding your spirit works backwards, you see. So it's going to prevent you from doing something you're not conscious of what's going to be an issue for you.
Well, elaborate. What do you mean by the spirit works backwards? Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, okay. When we become conscious of why, things has happened the way they've happened, then you'll look back and see, okay, that's why the alarm clock went off late, you see. You got to look backwards. See, spirit and physical are opposites, you see. So then you have to look back and see the steps that spirit took to keep you from getting on that bus. So that is when you go back and say, and realize, oh my goodness, that's why my spirit wouldn't let me get on. That's why my alarm clock went off late. That's why I couldn't find my shoes or my keys or get out that door. So that is where you will start putting those pieces together as to why spirit lined this up the way that it did, but it won't make any sense to you until the end result. When you see where the bus was in that accident and you knew you could have been on that bus if something hadn't prevented you from getting on that bus. That was your spirit. But you have to look back and see how your spirit lined that up, for you to come to that realization.
No, indeed.
Got your back.
Yeah, I asked you that because I was watching something on YouTube by a guy named Neville Goddard.
Yes.
And he was saying that we have to live from the end. Don't live from the beginning, live from the end.
Yeah.
The end of the movie, then go work your way backwards. So when you said it, I was like, yeah.
The alpha and the omega.
Yeah.
See, the beginning and the end, you see, that full spiral. And it's not until you get the full spiral, through the Pisces, that then you get the new beginning with Aries at a higher level of vibration. The spirit don't work. In other words, anytime you're dealing with spirit, you're dealing with a collective. Okay, you have to pull energy to create spirit. You say spirit is a combination. That's why they say where more than one is called in my name, so shall I be Father's spirit. Right. Anytime you're dealing with two or more, you're dealing with the spiritual realm. You know, it's a combination. So when we're looking at the Alpha and the Omega, we're going to put together Pisces and Aries. Those two pairs work together to represent the spiritual principle of the Alpha and the Omega. The end, you know, the beginning and the end, or the end and the beginning, see, that full spiral. And you know, where, like I said, where you decided you were going to go to that appointment downtown, that was the beginning, okay? And then we came full circle where the physical, where we were denied access to that bus, and then it came back full circle when it came on the news that that bus had been in an accident. That's when it comes back full circle to a realization and a recognition in the end. You know, so the beginning coming full circle and balancing with the end. You see, balance is the key to everything, and I keep telling people the principles of opposites. If you understand the principles of opposites, there's nothing you can't understand. There's always going to be an opposite reflection. This is why we're talking about Cinderella. You see, the servant girl from the bottom to the top. In other words, as much as you struggle, us, the vessels of sacrifice and struggle, as much as you've struggled is now going to be matched equally, which how much you're going to now be rewarded, you see. So that is how you look at energy, from one half to the opposite half. And it's not until you have that full 360-degree spiral, 180 degrees on each half, do you have the completion or the whole. And if it's not completed or whole, it's not real. Anytime you're looking at a part of the whole, that's the illusion. We've been in the illusion. That's like, say you're building a house, you know, and the only part of the house you got together is the door, maybe, you know, some walls and some windows, you see. And if somebody asks you to describe the house, you know, there's you can only give them a part of what that house is. It's only a part of the whole. It's not until you complete that house do you get the real. Here's another example I like to use. I say, suppose you are commissioned in a mansion, okay? Now, the physical way is to go and clean a room, get a payment, go spend that money, come back and clean the next room, get paid, go spend that money, come back, clean the next room, get paid, and spend that money. The spiritual way is to clean the whole mansion without a payment, with no payment. And then when you finish that cleaning the whole mansion, now you get a balloon payment. You don't have to go back to work anymore. You know, you just sit back and simply enjoy the fruits of your labor, you see. That's the balance of those opposites, because you don't blend energy. You do not blend energy. You have to complete one half before the opposite response in equal measure will open up, you see. So we just completed the physical half. Now it's time for the spiritual half to reflect equally what it's balancing with on the opposite half, you see. So from our wounding half now to we're now in the healing
half, right?
Yeah. And it's a equal measure.
And I want to get to a couple of questions from the family before we get out of here, but I want to ask you, Sister Myra, and somebody in the chat, I seen somebody in the chat say, yo, I needed this tonight. I think we all needed this conversation with Sister Myra tonight. So I want to thank you once again for coming on here at such a pertinent time in history, pertinent time with everything going on in the world, and just setting things straight, reminding us about what's really important, because it's so easy to get overstimulated and caught up in the matrix, you know.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you this, Sister Myra, since you're talking about us tapping into Big Mama's domain in the subconscious more, what when I hear the word subconscious, a lot of people always associate that with symbols. What symbol do you think what we've been through would wake the subconscious up, like it's go time? Like, what's that? Is there a symbol out there that's like when we see that symbol, our subconscious like it jumps up and it's like time to go. What symbol would you go with? Because there's so many symbols.
Ooh, let me see. What symbol would I go with? I'm still okay. The word keeps coming to my head, family. Family, because that's what this is all about. There's only 4 aspects. There's 4 family members, okay? And what it is about, you don't, like I said, you don't blend energy, you harmonize energy. What this is to harmonize family relationships, you see. That's what's been broken up.
Right.
The family in the physical half. Now it's time for us to come back in balance and wholeness. The spiral, the 4 pistons in an engine, all 4 has to be vibrating at their maximum in order to harmonize with each other and generate the power. You leave one out or one not equal, you get a misfire. We've been under Daughter Earth's auspices. Daughter Earth was the only one who hadn't been crowned as the princess. So we weren't complete, we weren't whole. That's where we were in the illusion. And now it's time for her to be redeemed and lifted up in her value. She becomes the princess. That then completes us as a royal family. Now we have the Prince through Aries, the Queen through Cancer, the King through Libra. Now we got the princess, completing us as a royal family, which takes us to a star system level. And now Daughter Earth can go into marriage with Anubis of the Sirius star system. The Sirius star system is our ancient ancestral family, where we just completed the New Age family. So the balance of opposites. So as Daughter Earth goes into marriage with Anubis, the dog star of the Sirius star system, that is how we're balancing star systems, the ancient ancestral star system, Sirius, with the New Age star system that Daughter Earth represents. And this is how this energy will reverberate throughout the cosmos, you see. So family, it's all about family, harmonizing. The father has to harmonize with the mother, has to come back into harmony with the mother, the son, and the daughter. The mama has to come back into harmony with the father, the mother, the daughter, and the son. The son has to come back in harmony with the daughter, the father, and the mother, and the daughter has to come back in harmony with the son, the mother, and the father. And that's full spiral. That's that full spiral. That 4 components of that 4 royal family. So it's all about bringing us from how we've been fractured as a royal family. And they did that individually. We're the individual aspects of this collective universal energy. So they fractured us individually through the family. They killed off the father, the one who would protect the family in front of the mother, so she would smother the fire or the power of the son. Energy unfolds from mother to son and then from father to daughter, because it has to be a dual balance of opposites, a negative and positive polarity, and then a positive and negative polarity. So the negative is the feminine and the positive is the masculine. So in those family members, we got mother, the negative, to the son, the positive, and then the father, the positive, to the negative, the daughter. So the wounding is how they cut off the father who would protect the family in front of the mother. So she would smother the fire or the power of the son, keeping him in his ego as a little boy so he wouldn't grow into the father and be killed as well. The water and the fire, put an S in front of mother, the water who smothers the fire or the power or the creativity of the son. And we're talking internal as well as external. And then in the same response, an opposite response on the spiritual half, the father, the air element, abandons the value of the daughter, you see. So where the mother smothers the power of the son, the father abandons the value of the daughter on the spiritual half. That's how we were wounded as a royal energy family, how they reversed that energy rotation and split us apart. And now it's time to come back to that family dynamic where the mother becomes the mama and releases the son into his resurrection. They demonstrated in the Super Bowl in 2013, where they had the Ravens, Leo, and the 49ers, Cancer, mother-son Super Bowl. And it was like the mother had to step back, the negative polarity, in order to release the son, the fire, Leo, into his resurrection. And then he resurrects into righteous father's spirit, righteous thinking, the air element, who then redeems the value of daughter earth or daughter character, you see. So that is where we're starting to harmonize, come back into harmony. And one of the things, the last Super Bowl halftime with Kendrick Lamar, it was demonstrating the son redeeming the value of the daughter. That's what he was demonstrating in that Super Bowl. And now you're seeing that. You're starting to see where our men are starting to step up and defend their women. You see, we're starting to see more and more evidence of that. That's where we're seeing, through live, how this is all opening up, how we're starting to see that redemption of the daughter. She's the energy of character, you see. When we do it on an individual basis, that is how it becomes, each one of us that do it on an individual, that's how it becomes a collective, which is spiritual. So as we see the individual aspect of it, then here, there, then that's how that energy comes together as a collective. So that is what we're seeing now. We're coming back together as a family, and we have to come as yin. We were wounded. The women were wounded in their insecurities, because we were put at the bottom of the totem pole in our value. The men were wounded in their ego, thinking themselves higher in their value than their woman. You see, those are the wounds that are being healed now. So, because the only way we evolve is in balance as yin and yang. You see, so the man has to be healed. And this was the movie The Matrix. And this is the reason Trinity came out of the Matrix first, because she was healed and came to the security of her value as a high priestess. And then she comes out of the Matrix and is used as a tool to bring her man out. If Neil didn't have a Trinity, he would still be in the Matrix. So she comes out in the security and her value as a high priestess in the larger scheme of things. And now she sets standards to challenge her man to rise to the standards to claim the love of the high priestess. As he rises to those standards, that is his resurrection. Remember, Trinity resurrected Neil from the dead. The illusion of power through his ego. Man can't come out of the Matrix in ego. So she had to resurrect him from his ego, that then releases him from the Matrix, you see. And once he's resurrected from his ego and is released from the Matrix, now he sees her true value as a high priestess and then redeems her and lifts her up. So the opposite energy of Black woman is what? Okay, I don't hear you.
White. I'm sorry, I was on mute. White male?
Yes.
Yeah.
Black woman, white man. This is what my spirit said to me when it described the Star of David. And even the Star of David is telling you about this Taurus and Scorpio axis of energy. Because David is played in the role of Scorpio, and the mama is played in the role of Taurus. You see. The moon was in Taurus during the Star of David, and then the sun was in Scorpio on November the 8th, 2003, when we got the Star of David in the sky. So this is what the Spirit told me. I said, why the Star of David? Because it showed how we were wounded as a royal family, and then it showed how we were being healed. And I said, why the Star of David? They said, how did David slay Goliath? With a stone. The first earth sign, Taurus. The moon was in Taurus. It's opposite Scorpio. The sun was in Scorpio. So the mama comes back to her value in Taurus, and then she passes the stone, because on that day there was a full lunar eclipse, which is symbolic of a slingshot. So she passes the stone of value to the sun in Scorpio. This activates his transformation. He now resurrects into the Father, righteous Father spirit, which was Saturn in Cancer. the sign of unconditional love, opposite the daughter, which was Chiron in Capricorn. Chiron is the wounded healer, where you've been wounded in this physical half, and now you heal from those wounds is how you're now used as a vessel to help others heal from those same type of wounds. That is what your Chiron is, the wounded healer. And that's what Capricorn, that's what the daughter was in, Capricorn. So when he resurrects into righteous father spirit, it's the father spirit, opposite Cancer, opposite Capricorn, who then redeems the value of the healing of daughter Earth, or the wounds, of our antiquity, how we were wounded. So he redeems her value and lifts her up. And then my spirit said, what is the opposite energy of Black woman? White man. And in order for him to be up, that means she has to be down. So how do you take him down? You simply lift her up. He automatically goes down. This is how David slays the giant lie, or Goliath, you see. So that was demonstrated in the Star of David, you see. So it's all about that, redeeming the value of character, completing us as a royal family. With the princess, who is the energy of character, now being redeemed. The only reason she was put at the bottom of the totem pole in the physical illusion, because character is not respected in the land of illusion. And the opposite aspect, the physical, she's at the bottom in her value in the physical reality, but in the opposite spiritual, she's of the highest value, the high priestess. And not only that, whatever is put at the bottom, since spirit is spiral, is what now spirals to the top, you see. So redeeming character. And we're not just talking male, female here, because you have all the energy in you. And wherever your Capricorn is at, is where you're playing the Cinderella role, where you have been rejected in your value externally by others. And then you have to first redeem that value within yourself. And once you redeem that value within yourself, that is how you'll send the vibration out. Remember, spirit moves inside out. So once you come to the security of your own value and self-worth from within, that is how you'll send the vibration out externally. And that's how you draw it back from the external, as you send it out. As you're sending it out at 20, you're going to spiral it back at 20. If you're sending it out at 80, you're going to spiral it back at 80. So that is how you redeem that value first within yourself and send it out. And that's how you get the redemption from the external, or the masculine, the feminine, the internal, earth and water, internal, feminine, air and fire, external, masculine. We're not saying male, female. You see, this is energy, and you have all the energy in you. So wherever your Capricorn is at is where you play that Cinderella role, where you were rejected. In your I was rejected because as I told you guys before, because of my dark skin. But it does, and that's really the epitome of the Cinderella, dark versus light, you see. Cinder means carbon or black. El is a title of divinity, and La is feminine, the black divine feminine, the servant girl, the melanated woman who was put at the bottom of the totem pole in her value in the physical illusion, because in the opposite, she is of the highest value, the high priestess. And spirit is spiral. So whoever is put most at the bottom in the physical is the one who's going to spiral most to the top in the spiritual when it comes to that transformation of energy as we went over into the spiritual half. So wherever you're playing that, for me, it was my dark skin, but wherever you were rejected, you might have had a big nose, or you might have been too light skinned, you might have been too skinny, too tall. Wherever someone has rejected your value on the external is where you're playing the Cinderella role. Look for your Capricorn to understand where that may be happening at in your chart. And so when you redeem that value within yourself, the earth element, starting with Taurus. Taurus is the sign of values. They took Taurus. We're always going to be looking at that contrast between the external physical illusion and the internal spiritual reality. So in the external physical illusion, they turn Taurus, the sign of value, the first earth sign, they turn it into materialism. so that you gauge your value based on what you possess materially. Taurus is the sign of I possess, you see. So the work you do to earn your material power, you see, to demonstrate your value. But when you go internal to the Taurus definition, and that's the natural place for Taurus, because Taurus is earth and water are internal. When you go internal to the definition of Taurus, it's your own security in your own self-value and your own self-worth based on the work you've done in your mastery, your spiritual mastery through many lifetimes, and what you brought to the table as your contribution to this universal purpose being fulfilled, your spiritual purpose and destiny. When you fulfill that, that is how you understand your spiritual value. And that's how you open up to your spiritual empowerment from the internal. So the internal is spiritual empowerment, the value of your spiritual power, versus the external, your material power. And you can't serve two masters. So the mama bird is now trying to push the baby birds out of that proverbial material nest so they can find out they have been liberated, they can fly. Scorpio. They no longer have the yoke of materialism keeping them grounded in the physical illusion. So she's trying to break our dependency on material empowerment. So we go internal and open up to our spiritual empowerment, you see. So once you come to the security of your own self-worth and self-value based on the purpose of your contribution, the one and all in the all-in-one, everybody has something to contribute to this whole purpose, but it's a unique purpose. Everybody has a unique role on their soul's journey, and only their spirit can give them the guidance. Only their spirit has been with them through many lifetimes, and only their spirit is now ready to position them to the next level, because everybody has a unique contribution to the whole, the one and all in the all-in-one. Your reality is no more wrong or right than anyone else's. We all master on our soul's journey, guided by our spirit, to make the contribution. Whenever we get into the Aquarian age, that's when it's time to break that contribution and come together and harmonize as one. We don't blend as one. We come together and harmonize as one. You don't blend energy. So this is how everybody can bring their own unique creative contribution, as part of the whole. You see, the one and all in the all-in-one. So that is, what we're now being positioned, to bring that mastery, fulfilling our spiritual purpose and destiny, bring that to the table so it comes together as one. You guys can see me do that many times with the hand. The thumb, the index, the middle finger, the ring finger, the little finger, the palm, the back of the hands, the nails. They're all unique components that comes together to make a hand or a whole, and in order to harmonize with each other to do what we want to do. If we all blended in the thumbs, how much will we get done? You see, right. Everybody has something unique to bring to the table, and that's what you've mastered on in your soul's journey. And the physical half. So now we've that Taurus. Now we've understood our little finger part of this mastery. Now it's time to bring the little finger to the table, as a, coming together, connected as one, harmonizing as one, the one and all in the all in one. So that is, what we're all, and with our spirit is what it's spirals.
Okay.
Opening up the next one, another spiral, next one, higher vibration. It's an infinite process. You never get there. You only complete spirals for access to the next level, where you start a new one at a higher vibration, an infinite process. But whenever we get into the Aquarian age, now it's time for evolution. We've balanced on enough levels to be able to evolve to the next level in spiritual empowerment. That's why Aquarius, evolution, and Leo, creative powers. So the evolution of a new creative power or rulership out of the abuse or corrupted power to a humanitarian empowerment, as our ancient rulers, our ancestors, are now passing us the baton as the new age rulers to step up to a righteous rulership out of this abuse of power. That's the only sin there is in the spiritual reality, the abuse of power. Okay, no matter how much power you're given, that's how you're going to be judged by the universe as to how you use that power. Are you going to use it righteously, or are you going to use it abusively? This is the story of Asar putting on his 14th piece, his penis, because he was cut down into 14 cycles of time by Father Time, righteous Father Spirit, because he's the ultimate son of power, one most prone to abuse that power, and that's the only sin in the spiritual reality. So he was cut down into 14 pieces or cycles of time. Asar, Sagittarius, the last fire, the ultimate son, you see. The Leo is where we resurrect into our creative personal powers. Then we resurrect into Aries, which is Haru's energy. Mars, where you come to the full 360 degrees of your personal power as Haru. And then all the Harus come together through this fire axis through Sagittarius. That's when he becomes Asar. He was cut into 14 pieces so he could prove that he would use his powers righteously without abusing them before he could be endowed with that abundance of power. With Jupiter being the planetary ruler, whatever Jupiter touches, it brings in abundance. So that abundance of power, he was the one son most prone to abuse that power. And that's why he was cut down into those 14 cycles of time. The last piece being the penis, the power of collective resurrection into that abundance of power. That's where we're at. That's Asar putting on his 14th piece. Then he gains the full benefit of power. That's the sun, the fire. And now he is ready to redeem the value of the daughter, Capricorn, daughter character. They come together at the winter solstice. Sagittarius on one half, Capricorn on the opposite half. So now the ultimate son of power redeems the value of daughter character, Capricorn. It peaks at the winter solstice. That's the highest peak of the astrological cycle, where Sagittarius and Capricorn comes together. We have 3 pairs of that son and daughter combination. It starts with Aries and Taurus. That was our antiquity, our ancestors. Then it goes to Leo and Virgo. Leo and Virgo represents the turning point in that couple energy. That's the role Trinity and Neil played in the movie The Matrix, where she resurrected him from the dead, the illusion of power through his ego. And then in the second Matrix, he brings her back to life, but he goes internal. First, he removes the bullet, the damage. Then he goes back in and massages her heart. And the first thing she says when she opens her eyes is, now we're even. Now we're equal. Now we can come together as one. They're telepathically connected. She's in the background, the internal, giving him guidance through her wisdom, Virgo. He moves out as the sun, Leo, and exposes the power guided by her wisdom. That's the role they play. That's the turning point. And because Virgo, cleansing, purifying, cleansing, and healing. So you can step up to the spiritual half and get into partnership with your spirit. And then it takes us to the ultimate son and daughter, Sagittarius and Capricorn, where it all culminates at the winter solstice, where the ultimate son, Asar, comes to his full power, abundance of power, proving he'll use that power righteously and not abuse it. 14 cycles of time. And then daughter Earth character, Cinderella, has now been, he then redeems her value, lifts up character, so that's where they become equal, and complete that ultimate cycle, those 3 levels of that couple energy, the sun and the daughter, the fire and the earth. You see.
Sister Myra, got a question for something you said earlier when you talked about our physical family being like our step family and our spiritual family being our real family. I want to ask you, do you think our physical family, who you call the step family, is our spiritual family in disguise? And the reason why none of us get along with them the way we do is because they were meant to annoy us to the point to inspire us. Do you think that, like, if we got along with our family, maybe the way we want to, maybe we wouldn't be in a position that we're in now? So they're purposely. Yeah.
That's the nature of the sacrificial lamb of the family.
Yeah.
Who takes the brunt of the wounding. This is the one who now takes the brunt of the healing. And this is the one that can now, go to the highest. In other words, now once whoever takes the brunt of the wounding in balance is the one that's going to take the brunt of the healing and bring back the brunt of the reward. They now go into that astral realm through that cosmic family where they're imbued with the ancestral energy, the gifts and the powers. Okay, that's where they will access the sacrificial lamb of the family is the one who takes the brunt of the wounding. Yes, you need see negative and positive polarity. That's how energy unfolds. We had to do the negative to reflect the opposite polarity, the positive. So the one who takes the most of the wounding is the one who gets most of the reward. They're the ones that represent the family, the physical family in the cosmic realm. And once they get imbued with that powers, the energy, the powers in the cosmic realm, in the subconscious, spirit is spiral, they then take that energy back to the physical family and use that energy for the benefit of their physical family. The one who drank the Kool-Aid, the one who compromised, they are now going to use their energy to help benefit them. They're going to heal them. They're going to protect them with that power. I know I have the power to protect my family. So you got to know your power to activate it. If you know you have the power to protect your family, that's how you energize it. And you do it through your imagination. I imagine covering my family with an iron gate and then putting some mirrors on the outside. So if anybody throws anything at them, it'll bounce back at them. This is how you do, that's how you maneuver through your imagination. And so that is where you take that energy back. This serves two purposes. Number one, you don't have to look over your shoulders now and worry about your loved ones who drank the Kool-Aid. You know, you've now got the power to put protection over them, you know, and and number two, it validates your spiritual powers. You know, once you've used it for the physical family, you're really practicing with the physical family as you use those powers of protecting them. And then once you get the demonstration of your powers by using it for your physical family, now you can look to your higher purpose. You don't have to look over your shoulders. Now you can look toward how mama is using you as a vessel for the healing of her family, because you've now practiced and you've come to the validation that you are the one with that power. And so, you know, that's how that works. Yes. That negative polarity, they're playing the role of the negative polarity. And you guys decided this together when you were energy beings. This is a family endeavor. When you took your mission, you took it as a family unit. And you and your family, as energy beings, decided who would play the role of the heavy, who would play the role of the sacrificial lamb. You've done this through many lifetimes, you see. But this is where we culminate, where, you know, the full wounding, you know, and the full abuse, you know, but you and your family decided who would play those roles in, you know, each lifetime. And now it's time, you know, to complete and fulfill those roles. But yeah, it's no love lost. We just knew that only way energy unfolds is through a negative and positive. So somebody had to play the heavy and somebody had to play the recipient.
That's why you don't take it personal.
No, you don't take it personal. It's still all love. You know, that don't mean you have to stay in abusive. Like, you know, I still, you know, I'm very estranged from my family, but I still constantly send out my vibrations for their protection, for their healing. You know, I'm constantly sending that out. I still love them. I still, you know, even though we can't, you know, get together like we used to, I'm still sending out the vibration for their well-being, their healing, and their protection. You see, so no, you don't take it personally, because this is what you get decided together as an energy family, so that, because we know the only way is a negative and positive polarity. That's the only way energy unfolds. So that's the way it had to play out, you see.
I love how you break this story down. Like I said, we all needed this tonight. So I'm glad that we had the opportunity to indulge in this tonight. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Let me ask this one last question. I just seen a question from the people in the chat. Also, I want to give a shout out to King Simon. And before we get to this last question, Sister Myra, you're still doing readings, right?
Yes.
Okay. How do they go to your website for the readings?
Yes. Sister Myra Moss at gmail.com.
No, that's an email.
Yeah, that's the email. Okay.
So website.
SisterMyraMoss.com. That's it.
Hold on, let me see something. Because King Simon is sharing. Let me see hold on, let me see something.
Yep, and the timeline is really, I think I'm out to like November now, and there's still some.
No, it's Sister Myra, no Moss. It's just SisterMyra.com.
Yeah, you're right, Sister Myra. Like you said, I was thinking about the email, Sister Myra Moss, the email at yahoo.com. I mean at gmail.com. But you're right, the website is just Sister Myra.
Let me share it real quick. Just want the family to see it so they know what I'm talking about. This Sister Myra's website right here. All right, make sure y'all hit up the Oracle's website. Let me get how did this come up here? Yeah, make sure y'all hit up Sister. Did the website come up on the screen? Because did you just see it just now?
No, I didn't see it.
Family, did the website? I thought I put it up.
Something came up, but I didn't recognize it. That's your.
Oh, that's okay. No, my fault, family. Yeah. Okay, let me get this. Hold up. That's what. Yeah, I meant. Hold up, y'all. How do I? Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I'm like, this is Sister Myra's website, sistermyra.com. Make sure y'all hit up Sister Myra for her readings. And you know what? I gotta get a new reading from you, Sister Myra.
You sure do, because man, there's so much that you can add to. Wow. The last reading at this time, and I told you anytime, just give me a call, let me know. And it's just it's on me because of my gratitude to you and the platform that you've opened up to me. So anytime you're ready, and I guarantee you, people can get a reading and then 3 months later get another reading, and it's going to be a whole new message because it's all dealing with the time you're in at the time you get the reading, what's prevalent that your spirit wants you to understand versus where you're at, at another time, and what's prevalent for you then and what your spirit wants you to know. So it's like I'm giving people their marching orders as to how their spirit is now guiding them to step up and fulfill their destiny, to step up to fulfill their purpose. So I'm like giving the marching orders. I always tell them it's not me, it's your spirit. I'm just the messenger. And what I'll do in a reading is the first 3 cards, I don't get anything from my client. I don't get anything from my client through the first 3 cards because I want to convince them that it's not me, that anything I'm gaining from them, that I'm pulling this information from what their spirit is giving me through the cards. And then after the first 3 cards, I'll say, now, has there been anything I've said so far that has resonated with you? And everybody go, yes, everything. And then I'll go, well, now describe and define how that information resonated with you, because I want to validate this is not my message. It's your spirit's message. I'm just the messenger, but it's your spirit's message. And the reason why, and spirit brings my clients to me. They told me, we don't want you actually, way when I first started this, they said, we don't want you advertising yourself. We will bring you the people you need to administer to. This is not meant for everybody, is what my spirit told me. So spirit is the one who brings me my clients. And usually it's because they think I'm the best vessel to deliver the message, because most of the time, whatever the message is, I can relate. I've been there. I've been through the energy, and I've been through what it is that they're going through, and I can identify and relate to them how, I came through that or whatever. But usually it's going to pertain to how I can identify with what it is that their spirit wants them to understand about this message. But and also, I'm Capricorn, I'm daughter character, and I want integrity and the character of the message. I'm not going to infuse anything of myself into it, you see. I'm going to be totally objective about the information and give it based on what Spirit is giving to me, not something I believe or feel or think. It's not about me. It's about me interpreting through symbolism this message from your spirit that it most wants you to receive. And a lot of times I channel because most time when I channel, I'll get zapped with chill bumps. Then that's usually at the point where I'm saying something that is most significant to what the spirit wants imparted. So anytime I say something that they really want said, zip, they'll zap me. You know, goosebumps all over, you see. But no one yet has denied, you know, the message being from their spirit. They recognize immediately that it's not me, you see. I'm not the one that's giving information.
Yeah, I gotta get one from you before the end of the year. This year will be the 20-year anniversary of when I got my last reading from.
Really?
Oh, yeah, 2005. So I got it from 2000. So this will be the 20-year anniversary. So I gotta.
It's just going to build on what, you know, what was happening there. It's just going to build on because, like I said, nothing changes. It just adds to, builds on, just expands the message. You see. So, you know, nothing really changes except for, or if something does change, you'll get the reason why. You'll come to an understanding as to why that needed to change or that needed to happen in that way, and you know the steps you were led through, you know, get the message in order for it to blossom for the spiritual, holistic message. Yeah.
One question before we get out of here, Sister Myra. Where is this at? I just seen one I want to ask because you talk about where did it go? Because you got the chat moving so fast. You talk about, all right, just real quick, real simple. Give an example of blending energy. You talk about that a lot. An example.
You just can't blend energy. And this is the message I'm trying to tell people. You don't blend energy. You harmonize energy. Energy is like, okay, fire only knows itself as fire. Air only knows itself as air. Water only knows itself as water. And earth only knows itself as earth. Okay? So each one has their own unique mastery to bring to the table as a contribution to the whole, the one and all in one. And we've been under the impression we don't blend energy. You know, we have to harmonize energy. That means we have to complete one half at 180 degrees before we activate the opposite response, you know, in equal measure. But no, like I said, we're representing the 4 family members through the 4 elements. And that's what we're looking at when we're looking at energy. You know, the elemental family, and there's no blending energy. There's only harmonizing energy.
So they want to know the best way to harmonize energy since that was said.
Love, righteousness, character, you know, treating each other in the value, you know, of their worth, you see. And like I just told you about my family, I'm still estranged from my family, but I'm still sending out vibrations of love and character and protection for them. So even though, you know, we aren't getting along, you know, I'm not letting that undermine what I feel from them. Like you asked about the ultimate energy, the ultimate agenda, mama love. Everything started with the water. Everything starts. She's the mama of antiquity. She's the water. She speaks to us internal through how we feel. The love that we created in antiquity is the love we brought forward into this new age. You see, through different bodies, different lifetimes, that love bond is never broken. You know, so continue to operate in love and righteousness and character, even if you don't agree, even if you're not getting along, even if they wounded you because that's part of the negative polarity operation. So, you know, the wounding is just going to convert to your reward. I always tell my clients, whenever you're struggling, hold on by your toenails, because to the extent that you endure the struggle is going to be to the same extent that you open up the reward. So understand whatever friction is between you and your family is just because they're playing that role of that negative polarity, which is going to benefit you. You know, the one who suffers the most is the one who is rewarded the most. So don't take it personal, you know, but if you can't personally get along, you know, that don't mean you have to let people just kick you all up the butt. You see, you detach, because the first love has to be yourself. Right. Your self-love, your self-value. Like I said, Taurus, the first earth sign of values, your own security and your own self-worth and your own self-value. So protecting yourself, you have to draw a line. This is how much I can give to others versus this is the line I draw where I can't allow others to encroach into that, you know, that half, you see. So no, don't take it personally. There's a bigger purpose. And then we're looking at it from an individual illusionary perspective. So we don't see the real. As we're looking at the individual physical vessels, it's only when they balance with their spirit that we see the whole them or the real them. You see, Trinity resurrecting Neil from the dead, from the illusion. When people tell me, I say, well, do you think this is your twin soul? Well, no, you know, he's egotistic, he's this, he's that, you know. I say, well, no, what if you had a magic wand and you could clear all those things up? You know, would you feel like that is your love? You know, because right now you're not looking at the whole him, you're looking at the illusion of who he is. It's not until he comes into his resurrection, his balance, that you'll see the real him. So you're not seeing the him that you fell in love with in antiquity, you see. Right. We have to make our way back to that full circle, you know, wounded, you know, we were, those of us who fell from the highest, we fell to the lowest, and now we bring it back full circle to the highest again. Anytime you're at the highest vibration in spiritual energy, and you want to take spiritual energy to an even higher level, the only way to do that is to regenerate the energy. That means you have to fall even lower than you were high, so you can bring it back full spiral to a higher level, full circle. So that is what this whole operation is about. Those of us who fell from the highest to the lowest, in order to transform and regenerate the energy back full spiral to the highest again. Mama love, Mama universe, she's the mama of us all, but she's too omniscient to come down here and give her love to her children at ground level. So she sent in her vessels who came from that highest level of her love, the water, and now come down to the lowest level to bring that love from the highest to the lowest, and then transform it back up to the highest again, full spiral. So yeah, the love.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful how you describe that and say that. Wow.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. Sister Myra, once again, do you still use Cash App, Sister Myra?
Oh yes, I do.
I remember you was having a issue with
that's all. You know why that happened? Because you told, I think we were like 4,000 people, and you told them to do it right at that time. So what you did was you overwhelmed that Cash App after so many and a time frame, you know, that's when it acts up. So no, the Cash App is still working fine. So yeah.
Yo, we be shutting shit down, y'all. We did that to Dr. B's website.
Yeah.
Myra's cat. We be when we get busy on this channel. We get busy on this show.
Yeah.
What's your Cash App, Sister Myra?
It's of course the $ Myra Moss, and the number is 813.
Wait, hold up.
No H.
$$ what? What is it again?
Myra, MYRA.
MYRA.
Then MOSS.
Okay.
And then the number 813.
813. All right. Before we get out of here, family, Sister Myra, it's been about 8 months since Sister Myra been on the show. Let's show the sister some love. She gave us the blueprint for 2026, y'all.
Yeah,
I mean, she gave us the blueprint. We got to show love for that. We got to show love for that. Let's hit up that Cash App. Hopefully, we don't crash a Cash App tonight. But her Cash App is $MyraMoss813. Make sure you show the Oracle, one of the most important people on the planet at this time, love and appreciation. And appreciation and love is an action word. So you got to do something to show it. All right. Don't just say it. You got to do something to show it. Let's all support her. Whatever you could give, family, hit up Sister Myra's Cash App.
And remember the 10, the 1 and the 0, a new beginning and a spiritual rotation, honey. So that is what this 2026 adds up to, the number 10, the 1 and the 0, a new beginning, number 1, in a spiritual cycle. So that is, and the last thing I want to say and impart to you, I already said it, but I'm going to repeat it. I don't care what chaos is raging right outside your window. You don't blink. You don't even flinch. Your lack of fear is your lamb's blood, and the chaos will pass you over. Get your bag of popcorn, sit back, cross your legs, and watch the show. But don't take any of this personally. Don't get too emotionally involved. How you create your own reality is through your imagination. Imagine what you want to see unfold in your reality, not what you fear, doubt, or guilt. You have to imagine what you want to see, because when you know you have that power, that is how you activate that power. If you don't know it, you don't have it. So know that you have the power of protection. Protect yourself, protect your loved ones, and don't worry about what's going on in the world as it's falling down. There was a story a long time ago I used to hear, Lone Ranger and Tonto. And and the Indians were surrounding them, and then the Lone Ranger said, "Well, what are we going to do, Tonto?" And Tonto said, "What do you mean we, Kemosabe?" This is not about us. The fall, not about us. It's about the balance, redeeming our value, coming full circle. We are the ancients, the antiquity, the ancestors, and we've been usurped, in this conscious realm, and now it's time to come back full circle to who you are from your ancestral and ancient ancestors, the original. It's time for us to come back to knowing who we are and then stepping up to that power. So what is falling in our benefit, you see. So the old has to go. That's Scorpio energy. The old has to go, transformation, in order for the new to blossom. So we're seeing the old going so we can now blossom in this spiritual half of this operation. So this is not about us. And if you know that, if you believe they can get you, they can get you.
Wow.
If you know they can't touch you, they can't touch you. Okay?
Indeed. And with that being said, I want to thank Sister Myra. Thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight. We getting out here. Everybody have a good night tonight. Make sure you show love to Sister Myra in the Cash App. Sister Myra, I'm going to call you soon because I want to talk to you about a couple things.
All right.
All right. Peace and blessings. All right. Peace, family. See y'all Friday. All right. Peace, family.